I don't mind people eating bass. I'd always ask them to throw the smallers back. And they don't taste good anyway. I had a friend of mine, he kept an 8-pound RG. I'm like, he was got a lot of meat on it. Then I called him, how's that fish taste? Tastes like mud. Like, it's kind of like eating that whole over rainbow. You get that big one, you couldn't listen. What the hell is this? But yeah, so, and I told him, I said, man, that, the Northwest, that fish is like 15 years old. I'd rather eat a doe, a young doe than a whole buck. You know, it's the same thing. So we got Echo Lake, Mary Rodan, those lakes I fished. Now on a flathead. Now I heard was it Bitterroot? Is that the other one? Is that got smallmouth in it? Now didn't they get a new state record for pack last year for smallmouth? How big was it?
7.5.
I mean, you guys got lakes with coconut, right? With smallmouth in them? Probably not going. If they got kokanee and they're smallmouth, you got big smallmouth. I mean, I live in Old Man, Washington. I'm 38 miles from the Canadian North, from pretty much straight across from you guys, right? And so our water is pretty similar. We might get a little warmer, you know, but I mean, we got smallmouth, and you know, and that's the first thing everyone, the big tournaments, we go for smallmouth bag. And then we try to upgrade, you know, try to get a kick of largemouth. But you'll get a big. I mean, I finished tournaments with 26 pounds of smallmouth. There's an old guy there. He's got their club record. It was a 29.8 on 5 smallmouth. You know, and then you come over here and they're like, man, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? But there's big ones here because I always hear, okay, guy caught a 6-pounder here, guy caught a 5-pounder here. They're in here. It's just targeting them. I mean, I caught smallmouth all day. I started out as a largemouth fisherman for years, and then I had to learn smallmouth to fish tournaments because they're more aggressive. And you get the early season, the largemouth fish lethargic, smallmouth always bite. So Moses Lake Bite's been going since last month. The smallmouth, they're now 30 feet. Has everyone got electronics on their boat? If you don't have good electronics with a good down and side imager, that's a must. I mean, there's times where I won't even throw a line out unless I find them, especially smallmouth. And what they do is they'll lay right on the bottom. So if you see a stack of fish, it looks like a Christmas tree, keep dragging. That's usually a perch ball or something else. But what they'll do is they'll lay this, you see it looks like golf balls. You see it just spread out on the bottom. Those are most of the time bass. 90% of the time bass. So I'll see that and I'll slow down. You got anybody throw a Carolina rig? Does everyone know what a Carolina rig is? You guys know what a Carolina rig? You guys ever fish for like rainbows with power bait? You ever seen a power bait rig? Right? You got the egg sinker, bead, leader, line on, you guys used to that? That's also a Carolina rig. And what I do is I use a tungsten weight. Tungsten's kind of expensive, but it's loud, and I'll use what they call a heavy bead. So, I mean, you guys can hear this stuff, and so when it's going across the bottom, it's making that clicking sound. And crawdad make a type of noise like that when they're moving and stuff, they make a little tick sound. And what that does, it causes curiosity of the fish. And as you're pulling the bait behind it, it makes like a silt in the water. Like, I don't know if you guys ever seen a crawdad on the bottom, when they move, you see a little dirt silt come up, and the fish see that, oh, that's food. And they'll go over, and they'll see your bait, and they'll usually hit it. Now, early season, you want to use something smaller. November, I'm using like small baits. Now, I don't even want to show you guys my good stuff. Come over here, you guys know I'm fishing. Anyway, Chancey's got some of these. This is a good money maker here. And these guys here, a lot of guys, they started out using my drop shot, I grab it.
Eric, tell them what it is.
Come on, man!
Tell them what it is.
Okay, now, this color is what they call KD magic, right? This is what they call half shell. And that's what they call it. I mean, I can pass them around, you guys see this. It's a nice little soft plastic, it's subtle. It doesn't have a curly tail on it, so it doesn't swim like a grub or anything. But it's just, if they're not, usually when the water gets cold, their heart rate slows down. Some people say they won't bite, but the fish got to eat. I mean, You know, it's just like, you know, like anything. You gotta survive, right? But they're nice and soft, they're small, they have a nice little wiggle to them. And the key is putting a smaller hook. Sometimes I'll put a small little hook on the end so it moves more. But when you're dragging it, it's just moving on the bottom. And you're pulling them slow and they'll see that and they'll just slug it down.
It's also a great drop shot.
We're getting to that, Greg. We'll get the drop shot here in a minute. But, so any of the, like that type of bait, any of the little smaller worms, so like I say, if Echo was thawed out just now, a lot of times you're going to get a lot of runoff. Water might start to cloud up, and that's probably what happens first, and then just get muddy. Usually in clear situations, and it's cold, the smaller baits work really good. Once it starts getting muddy, then it's kind of like visibility, it becomes slows down, so you got to get more noisy. And bass or any type of fish, if the water's muddy, they can't see that good. I mean, you know, if you've got like a foot of visibility because it's murky, you can still catch. You got to use a lot of vibration. It's just where to go. It's kind of like, I always look at comedy and everything, right? Me and my buddy go with fish, and we're just laughing all the time. You know, we're talking about muddy water. Well, the visibility's small. Well, they're going to be, any structure, you see a log or something like that, or dock, they're going to be like, to me, it kind of reminds me of like when the prison lights go out, dudes like, they don't stand there against the wall, you know what I'm saying? They're like, dude, where you at, man? You know, the bass do the same thing. They got to get their bearings. You know, I'm here by the structure. I'm safe. You know what I mean? And so that's where they're going to be. So they're going to be on structure. Whether it be a big rock, big boulder, or logs, or stumps, they're going to be right tight to that. And so your job is to get them to bite something. So if you got to know where it's at, and you want something that's going to make a lot of noise. And blade baits work good as far as spinner baits. I usually use like a Colorado style. This is like a nighttime lure that Strike King makes. But you see how big that blade is? When you reel it in, your rod's like, and they hear that mile coming. So basically, you want to throw that out, get it to go by the instructions, don't come out and eat it. You know. So when you're in a tournament, they schedule a tournament, like, we don't know what that tournament's going to be like in April. You know what I mean? We might come, it might be ice, it might be muddy, you know. You're like, man, it's not, you know, I'm going home. You know what I mean? But you got to catch fish, right? You want to win. You want to get some money, go home, ready, so your wife can take it all from you. And then you're like, well, maybe next time she'll let me help somebody, I'll go buy some food or something. But, you know. So, vibration baits, chatterbaits, style chatterbaits, we have a pure points work good. I'll throw black. It doesn't, you know, I always like throwing black and little chartreuse, get a little color, so we can see a little bit. White will work, and they're mainly hearing that. It gets their lateral lines inside. You know, if you can get their lateral lines inside, they're hungry, they're going to look for it, you know. But they're going to be really tight. You got to go right through the cover. Cast past the cover, come by. If you can hit it, deflection, it'll work great. You guys got any questions? Any lakes you fish here? Any situation? I mean, because I could do the textbook. You know, I could do a Carolina one from down south. Well, y'all come over here. We got this bait over here. We throw it out there. We're gonna get big bass, all right? But I mean, I could do that. But we can talk about when you guys fish. You know, so there's a scenario for every body of water. You know what the bottom's like. Bottom's going to be a lot of dictation of what color you use, whether you got sand, whether you got mud, grass, rock, moss, it's easy to talk to you guys. We all fish the same stuff, so I mean, what do you guys? What are your struggles here with you guys? But you guys get big ones all the time, right? Put you on the spot.
Just the early
soft stuff.
Yeah, ice off the stuff.
Ice off, yeah.
Just like last year,
You know, like I said, I see them all, and like I was telling Greg, I figure, okay, I fished that lake once before, and it was September, and if I had to think, I caught 47 largies in 3 hours, and if I had the average weight of my 5 biggest fish, I was at 26 pounds, and I'm like, man, I'm bringing big baits, bringing this. I get there and they're finicky, and I'm like, man, I just put my little baits, and I did. you know. So now it's like, I keep everything in the boat. I'm slower. I mean, my boat doesn't go as fast as I'm weighted down, but I'd rather be caught with some good stuff than without it, you know what I mean? So I'm ready. I'm going to come back here this April, and I'm going to catch some fish, you know. But yeah, the early, when it's cold, like I said, you just got to slow down. If the water's a little clear, then, you know, it was really clear when we fished it. It was really clear. And you got to go small baits. You got to go light line. You know, because those fish, they were even line shot, you know. They were so skittish. I mean, I don't know if you guys fished that goal, the opener. It was, I mean, and I could cast, you know, I could pitch with the best of them. I get really, I mean, I'm looking at them fish, I'm like, oh, right? So I'm pitching, I mean, I'm like, get that bait out there, and it was like just, ting. You know, the bass hit, they're like, ah! You know, I was like, man. You know, so I see it run out, just like, I saw there was one, well, I won't tell you what it's at, I know what it is, but there was one, it was an 8+ that I saw in there. And I sat on that fish for an hour. He kept your nose up, look at you like, you know, and then I throw it something else, get out there, and he come and look at it. It's like he was messing with me, you know what I'm saying? You know, big female. Also, if the water's a little clear, you guys throw jerk baits, anyone throw jerk baits? Rapless, the old school, Rebels. These are what they call suspending. And what these do is when you crank them down, they'll stay at the level that you stop at. And how you tell a good suspending crankbait is you want the nose to, when the fish starts to die, they kind of lethargic and start doing this. And these are really good right out of the box. And so when you're fishing a jerkbait, I'll just kind of use this rod for example. There's a cadence that you do when you're reeling them in. And these are good for, I know Echo Lake, there's a good spot everyone's fishing right across from the launch on one of the points that have a nice deep drop, nice contour. And those fish are suspended in the cold water right there. And how you get them, even though that if they might be 20 feet down, this will go down like 5 to 8 feet. Fish always look up, right? So if a fish is suspended and you're throwing a bait on the bottom, you'll never catch them because you won't even know it's there. But they always look up for some reason. And I pull fish out of 50 feet of water on one of these, and it's going like 4 feet. And I've seen them on the graph, you know, off of a hump. And I was fishing a lake in Canada, Skaha Lake, and it's like a ledge lake, and I saw a bunch of fish on there. And I'm like, oh. And sometimes when they're suspended, it's like, well, those bass, you know, there's a lot of fish to suspend. So I'll get out with a jerk bait. You can throw it out, and it's kind of like what you want to do is you want to basically you're snapping your line like this, and it's making a bait guard, right? But you kind of reel a little bit. You want slack line, and you twitch it, and it does this, and then it stops, and it starts to die. Then it twitches, and it starts to die. Especially smallmouth. You know how you say they follow you to the boat? They'll come over and see it. They're curious, right? So when you twitch it, it's like he's trying to get away, so they instantly grab it because they don't want to get away. It's like a cat. You know, you play with the toy down there. You're looking at it as soon as you're moving, they'll pounce on it. The same thing. And so you twitch and you pause. And if it's cold out, you want to do it like it's one little twitch or 2 little twitches, and you pause. You might want to wait 3 to 5 seconds. Summertime, I'm like, you know, it's doing this. I mean, I'm just making that thing go. But when it's cold, it's, you know, because, you know, you're not going to get a little middle, just, you know, through the water. You know, but slow twitches, let it pause. Slow twitch, let it pause. And sometimes you're like, man, I'm not gonna, you know, you don't think you're gonna get a bite, but they'll come up and hit it. It's a great cold water any time of year. I throw these all year round. Some guys only throw them in the spring. You know, it's a great springtime bait. It's a great summertime bait. Great fall time bait. You know, wintertime. I've caught them in the wintertime. I'll get crazy, be a little ice on, get out there. You know, I got another buddy of mine. He's trying to move ice with his bass. I'm like, man, get out of the water. It's, you know, January. You know, you know, he's out there yesterday. You know, he's like, I caught a steelhead, but I didn't catch any bass, you know, I'm on the water. But anyway, yeah, so it's a twitch bait. We have once you guys get a catalog, look through stuff, we got so much stuff. I mean, I could go page by page, we could be here all day. You know, but there's some cool techniques to use out there. Yeah, if you guys, I don't know if you guys throw your baits at all. We have a deeper version, go down deeper. And we have something that are more translucent, see-through. So once the water gets really clear and starts warming up on it, and the water is really clear, you want to go with a bait that's really translucent because you don't want to give them a chance to see what it is. You know what I mean? They'll see it, you know. But if it's got bright colors or solid, a lot of times you don't get those big ones. They're like, man, I don't know. You know. But you don't want to give them a chance to see that they're going to be curious when they see it. And if they don't get a good look and they get some flashes of color that they're used to, they're just going to pounce on it. And so there's some days where this is all I use all day long. You know, you come home with a big bicep from doing this all day, you know, hurt shoulder, but it works, you know. Another good cold water bait is the underspin. I don't know if you guys have seen one of these before. Take it out. And it's basically like a jig head with a blade underneath. And I usually use like a swimming bait behind the soft plastic. I got one here on a jig that I'll take off. There we go, like that. These work really good if it's cold water. Good rule of thumb: if you're not knocking paint off of them, it's not gonna work, right? You use these guys with a lot of like structure, like boulders, rocks, you know, gravel, and I just slow reel like this, and then every once in a while twitch. Because like those smallmouth, just like largemouth, they get curious. Twitch it, he's trying to get away. Boom. So, or any deflection off of a boulder or something, you hit deflect. Any deflection, it's like they think the bait's trying to get away from it, and they instantly just eat it. And so I've caught a lot of big fish in cold water. This works good all year. I use them in the mornings, you know, in the summertime when the water's cool. I use one of these. In the wintertime, October, November, before the water ices up, I'll throw one of these, and it's just slow rolling. I don't know if you guys have watched Bassmasters. Casey Ashley won Bassmasters a few years back, using a blade bait like this. And they work really good. I mean, really good. You can burn them a little faster, you know, go through some weeds really quick. But this thing just really starts kicking, the head moves like this, and it works good. Largemouth, I fish on largemouth. It's just a good bait, you know. You guys got any questions at all? You guys are easy. You guys are, I come over here. I'm down in Seattle, man. You know, these guys are, I had one guy, well, you talk about this fish, I just came here because I want to know how to prepare them. I got some cornmeal and what kind of seasoning you recommend? I'm like, are you kidding me? Everyone just got turned around and looked at him and said, what? So, now I want to get into a little more soft plastic stuff. I fish a lot of soft plastics. A lot of you guys probably heard what they call a Senko, right? Everyone know what a Senko is? Stick bait. We have one called an Ocho. And we call it Ocho because it's got all these different flat sides on it, right? And what that does is when it sinks slower, and there's a lot of action on this bait. And it creates a reaction bite like no tomorrow. And I'll either use this just with a plain hook, or I'll throw it on what they call a drop shot. And this is a drop shot where your hook is above the weight. That's a drop shot. And well, I don't want to kill a chance of things, so I'll grab one of my baits in here. You can fish these like Texas rig with a hook in the front. The most effective for me is I hook it what they call wagon. which is the middle. You see how the bait moves like that? And if you don't have a weight on it, it slowly goes down like this. And if I can see those fish, I'm not gonna put a weight on it. If I'm fishing like deep water stuff, like right now, if I have to go down deep, I'm gonna put a weight on it because you're fishing 20, 30, 40, 50 feet. I fished 80 feet on bass. I get these biologists going, what are you talking about? They won't go below a thermal climb in the summertime. I'm like, really? I'm catching 85 feet, you know? And so anyway, so you find where the middle is, right? It's like, so it's about right there. Go to the bait. So now you have this scenario. And when it falls, it makes that movement when it goes to the bottom.
Is that weedless?
That's a weedless hook on there, yeah. Most of the time I don't use a weedless until it's on it, you know, it's only when I'm in weeds or I have to. But I prefer not to. If I'm fishing structure, like I'll be probably say I'm 30 feet of water, I'm fishing a rock pile, vertical, you don't need it. And so now this weight gets me down there a lot faster because if I'm fishing 30, 40 feet, I'm going to be sitting there, you know, waiting for that thing to slowly go down. This will get it down there. It also makes more of a erratic action when it goes down. And when it's on the bottom, I can take, and the rule of thumb when you drop shot, you don't want to move the weight. You want to sit in one spot. So I can sit there and do this. You know, I mean, I know it's going fast now, but underwater it's just doing this. And sometimes, you know, when it's warmer out, you know, the fish start to spawn, they get more aggressive, then I'll get overhead and I'm doing this. And that thing's just radically going, and it's getting their lateral lines moving. And then I'll even, as far as the weight, I'll put the weight here, where it's just on the bottom, just shaking. And I've watched fish in 10 feet of water below my boat, and they know I'm there. Well, you know, I'm not gonna bite nothing. I start moving that, the lateral lines going, you know, it's like they're just jonesing where they're just grabbing and go to run, you know. And but there's something about that wacky weight. It just gets their lateral lines going, you know, and it catches a lot of fish. If you're new to bass fishing, if you use just a stick bait, I mean, you could use one of these. Say green pumpkin, works in any lake all around America. It's a good standard color. It's more of a brownish green, and you can fish a wacky, and that's all you can throw all the time, and you'll do good. You know, I know guys that fish tournaments. That's all they throw. You know, I don't care. I'm gonna throw my wacky one. You know, and they usually do well. You know, depend on the tournament, but if it's like a springtime, summertime, sometimes that's where you're throwing. Me and my 12-year-old, he fished with me. We fish band tournaments. And he'll be here this spring. I'll bring him down. He was sick last year. But we fished one in August, and there's we fished a Canadian tournament, and there's a bay where it normally holds a lot of big largemouth in the springtime. But then towards summer, it gets so choked out with weeds, the weeds are to the surface. And these guys, we don't fish that bay because it's so bad, you know. Those fish come out of there, it's too hot in there. And my kid goes, we're going in there. Darn great, we're going in there. All the fish were in this deep water, and we caught 20 fish, and the smallest was 4 pounds. The biggest was 7. And there were these overhanging trees come all the way down the water. And basically, I was using this Ocho right here. I was using watermelon red. You guys don't fish this me anyway. I'm fishing over there, so I'll tell you, I was using this one, the exact bait here, on a wacky bait. And what I was using the bait there, and I would skip the bait under the tree limbs and way back into where the fish were. As soon as I stopped, mine just twitched, set the hook, and it's like, you got to get them out of there because you got all the weeds because they'll tang you up. And then my kids just laughed, we're going to kill them, we're going to kill them, you know, everyone we got, you know. I'll show you guys some pictures on here in a little bit. I think chances, I don't know if you posted those, but yeah, it was just a smorgasbord. You know, and one guy goes, I saw you go in there. I'm like, man, you didn't catch nothing there. I go, oh yeah, we fished at the mouth of the river. That's what I told him, you know. He said, oh, that makes sense. He said, that makes sense. You know, and he's actually a guide on the lake. You know, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I was going to fish that spot too, but I had some other spots I wanted to fish. And yeah, so it's great. It just, I get a kick out of fishing with my kids. I got a lot of buddies that tournament fish. And, you know, I can do some bigger tournaments. I didn't fish the circuit last year because, you know, my kid showed his. I have an older boy too, an 18-year-old. He fished with me before. Little guy always missed out. You know, he did a couple trips a year, a couple derbies he did. He's done them all, he's won. And, you know, I was like, you know what? He's been waiting. You know, so we'll go fishing, you know. And it's just funny because we'll win, we'll get all this money, right? I give him half. I always give him half. You know, I'm like, Legos. You know, mine are going towards bills and here, you know. He said, bring my gas money. Oh, damn, here you got that one too, you know. And he's got all this money stacking up in the bank, you know. He's got some Canadian money. And it was, a buddy of mine did like a small get-together tournament, it was fun, we did $50. So we get the winnings, we got like, you know, we got like seconds, we got like $80. I'm like, here, Josh, you can have that. He goes, man, this is cool. Is this real money? You know, and I started laughing. And they're like, well, maybe down not where you are. I'm like, well, that's $80. I'm like, that's about $10 US, right? You know? But so he bought some ice cream and been saving for this next June to go back up there and fish that tournament. And so been saving his money to buy some Legos in Canada, you know. But yeah, it's all good.
Question.
Yeah.
You're talking about the throwing that into the underneath the tree. How did you set the rig up for that? Just with the weight on,
It's just no weight. I just tied the little wacky hook here. Then he asked me about a weed guard. I don't know if you guys can see that weed guard on there. But I use a weed guard when I'm fishing stuff like that because I don't want to hang up in the, you know. Some guys will bury the hook in the bait, but it doesn't react. The action of it is not as good. So I use one with the weed guard. And it's just this only. And they're heavy enough. I don't know if you ever felt a stick bait. I mean, that thing's dense and heavy. So you know, you can throw that on any type of rod. It's heavy. You know, you can cast that thing a long ways.
So that's for shallow water.
Any type. I know a guy fishing 80 feet with just one of those without a weight. And I'm like, really, John? You just sitting there. As you drinking some coffee, you know, all of a sudden his line will twitch, you know.
I'm trying to learn to catch the fish, and I'm from another country, from Montana. The church slough, which is close to here, in the latter part of the summer, really gets grassy. But there are no fish in it. So that would be something.
If you're fishing pockets, if it's matted grass, it's just going to sit on top. It's not going to go anywhere, right? So if you're fishing pockets, yeah, I mean, that's what I was doing. I was fishing the pockets where there wasn't any grass growing because the trees with the shade, the grass wasn't growing there. And so I would skip under the trees, and that's where the openings were. That's where the bass were sitting. And they were all around the edges of this lake. I mean, anything that, or a dock, you can get a dock. And sometimes it's kind of hard to, some of the docks are just right on the water, and the grass will be right next to it, so you can't really get under there. You have to do something different.
And then this rig that you have, what are you on?
This one here is when you're fishing deeper water.
How deep?
I fished down to 80 feet with it, as shallow as 10 feet, you know. And it's mostly for vertical jigging, so if you're like, you find the fish on your graph and they're right below you. You know, because you'll find like with smallmouth, say if you fish a smallmouth, they'll sit on one spot. You know, you see a school down there, you just drop down to them, and you just basically, I mean, you're just twitching right there, you know, and then you just feel the thing, and then that's how you catch it. And that's basically what this setup is for vertical. Now I have casted it out, and I have fished some of the rivers where I'll put like a little swimming minnow on it, and I'll throw it out, and I'll drag it, and so the minnow's off the bottom, and it's swimming, and that works too. But most of the time it's for vertical. If I'm not vertical fishing, then I'm either skipping docks and I'll usually have a weight on, or I've done that bait with what they call a Texas rig, where you have a bullet style weight in front of it. Do you guys want to see this one? I don't know if you guys ever seen a bullet weight. It looks like a bullet. And this is a sliding weight. You put this on the line, hook, you hook the bait on, you know, and this basically gives you weight to go out. And this works when you're in bushes or grass. These work really good to get through the grass. Because a lot of those places like that slough you're talking about, you might have grass up to the top, but if you go to the bottom, it's probably root system and everything to where it's not bloomed out, so it's all open. And so when you get in a situation like that, because I fish a lot of slop, I'm like, man, I love cabbage. I burned up 2 trolling motors last year going through all that stuff, you know. And then you might get into a heavier style weight, which we call punching weights. And this is kind of hard. This is kind of tungsten, but this is a ½ ounce compared to lead. I mean, feel how heavy that is? And so I use a lot of tungsten. It's expensive, you know. Where you get the ½ ounce, it's 2 weights for like $8, you know. the cool thing about tungsten is so hard and lead is so soft. If you're fishing rocks, especially like say if you're throwing that Carolina rig, a lot of the pros like, I use lead, that's how I've been using lead for 27 years, I'm gonna use lead. But what happens with the lead when you're going across rocks, it starts getting indentations, and I've seen it where it starts cutting your line. So you get a big one on, you set the hook snap. Up here, oh hell, it's just a pipe, right? Usually they blame it on the brake line, it's a pipe, you know. But, and so I don't use a lot of lead at all. I mean, there's some lakes now where they're outlawing it, you know, where guys use the steel, but steel is not as heavy as lead. So you get these big giant boulders that, you know, like steel. Tungsten, it's almost half the size of lead and weighs the same. And so, like I said, that's a ½ ounce weight. And when you have a lot of the grass, I'll take and I'll peg it. You can buy weight pegs where it doesn't slide. So you get it down to your hook, you peg it, you put your bait on. And so when you're throwing out in that grass, it just goes right through. Now you're down to the bottom where all the fish are, you know. And that's how you catch them out of the grass and the weeds, you know. So, I mean, some people won't even throw in that stuff. You know, they're like, man, that's no fish in there. There's fish in there, you know. One of the big pros, Hot Defoe, it's one of the jokes me and my buddy always say, because Hot Defoe is always like, if you think you're going shallow, go shallow, right? And so we were always like, man, I'll be up in the rocks on the land if I go shallow. I'm like at the edge, you know. I'm not catching a fish, you know. So we're doing horrible, you know. I'm like, Hot Defoe always says, and we always quote that. But another good way to get in some of those weeds is with the jig. I fish a jig. The jig is more my bread and butter bait. If you can perfect jig fishing, you'll catch a lot of big fish. They always attract big fish. My first time, Mary Ronan, is it, down here? Man, there's some big fish in there. There's no pike, so they're the predators. I went there and with one of the guys from Ski House, and we fished that lake. And he goes, "There's some big ones in here." So I'm watching the fish. I'm like, "You're not catching nothing. Look over there." You know. And so he wanted to throw one of my rods out. So yeah, I caught 30. My kid caught 15, and we were at 24 pounds on our 5 biggest. I mean, there was a lot of good fish. There's one I used a spinning rod and a small bait on. He just peeling line. You know, he snapped it. I was just like, really? You know, I didn't think they were that big in here. But I got one last year that pushed 8. He was right against those reeds. I was just flipping the reeds. Yep, with one of these right here. I was using a jig and I'll show you here. Here's the bait I'm using. I put it in here because that's my secret bait right here. This is called Rage Bug. There's a lot of companies making beaver style bait. That's called beaver style bait. But the Rage Bug has little legs you can break off. Yeah, I was swimming. And this thing, when it goes down, it has a nice slow fall. I can pass this around. It's got a nice coffee scent to it. If you smell this, think of a cup of coffee with cream and sugar. And the Rage Bug, whether I use it on a jig or if I use it by itself, works wonders. And that's the one I was throwing in Mary Ronan. Actually, I was throwing a watermelon flake, which the reason I threw that because I saw some guys with some crawdad traps and they're bringing them up. I'm like, let me look at the crawdads. I'm like, oh, they're watermelon. I don't know if you guys ever seen them in there. They're green. They're watermelon green. I'm just like, I said, now I know why they made that color because I've never seen nothing that color before. You know, but they're a watermelon green, you know. And so yeah, so I'm like, all right, I can do that. And man, it was on fire.
How do you make that?
That one, there's a couple ways you can do it. Just thread it on this one here, just thread it on a jig. Just thread it on the hook. Just kind of, that's all you're doing, you know. I kind of had it up before because I snagged the carpenter. Well, I didn't do nothing, but yeah, it snags the carpet. So the other way is a Texan rig. It's basically using like depending on the how deep your fish. Now I used a smaller one, a Marimonad fish with the outside edge because it was shallow, and so I'm using like just a bullet weight, slides down to my hook, you know, like this, and then I'm pegging the weight, which I use like a bobbin thread, or you can do a bobber stop in front of it so it doesn't slide. Because when you're in weeds, you'll get to where the weight goes down, the bait sits up here, you know, so you want to go with it, you know, and I'm basically just flipping the outsides or pitching to the outside of those cattails they have out there. Just find little pockets, because they'll sit right in those little pockets, and you just throw it out there, and I usually twitch a little bit, and then the bite is light. And the rule of thumb is, the lighter the bite, the bigger the fish. You guys probably know that. Because you'll get into, I've gone out with buddies that never gone fishing before, and he said, look at your line, it's twitching. I mean, you feel that little drummer going up. You know, I don't know how they can do that so fast. And then my buddy, you know, he's ripping my bait. I'm like, dude, what are you doing carrying my plastic cup? I get a bite. Oh, man, those are real. You know, but yeah, it's just a light, just a little tap. And what it is, the reason that it's a lighter bite, because they more inhale it. You know, they don't peck it. They just inhale the whole bait, and they'll suck it down. And then all of a sudden your line will start going. And I tell you what, man, your heartbeat starts racing. Oh, man, you know. I mean, man, that's better than grandma's cooking there, boy. I tell you what, that's, yeah. I just get jazzed about fishing. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and it's just every single time, you know. I told my wife, I said, you know, bass fishing is like being intimate. It can be bad, but it's still pretty damn good. You know, it's like, yeah, it's just, there's nothing like it. I mean, I got buddies that do salmon steelhead on the coast. 'Cause I live in Washington. And they're big salmon fish, man. The deck, you know, you got all that slime everywhere and all that, you know. Yeah, you should come out salmon fishing. I was like, man, I'm like, when it comes to salmon fishing, I'm kind of like that gay dude in the strip joint. I can care less. You got nothing to show me, brother. You know, that's just how I feel about it. I got another buddy that he's got a TV show, and he's big salmon steelhead. He's up in Canada, and he catches stuff on the fly, you know, on fly rods and stuff. I took him out bass fishing, you know. And I hooked a brown trout that was like 9 pounds. And he's like, wow, I filmed that. He goes, let me get it off the line first. I said, man, don't bring that slimer into my boat and touch my carpet. I said, you shake him off over the side, but don't put him on my boat or you go into the water. His wife's laughing. I said, I'll kick you in the water with that damn fish. I go, that's bait. You know, and he looks at me, he started laughing, but we had a good time. He caught a fish finally. I'm like, Mark, you got one on, huh? Because you're like, say, they bite light. And I'm watching the line, I see the little twitch, you got one. I do? Oh, you know, it gets off. You know, he finally got one at the end of the day. I caught like 15, and there were some big, we caught some 7.5, 7.2s, you know, some 6.7s, you know, largemouth. And he goes, you throw them in the bushes. I'm like, what do you think there are? You know? And I told him, I said, you always have to remember, you have to boldly throw where no man has thrown before, right? Is that how it works? So you see that stuff from there, most guys, man, I might lose my bait there. That's where the fish is. You know, I'm up in the thick stuff. And that's why you see a lot of guys on TV, you know, they set the hook and that fish coming across the water. It's like, what kind of fish is that? They're hydroplaning the fish. You know, well, situations, that fish gets it, he turns, you're not getting him out because he's going to wrap around something, you're snapping off, is you got to get his head turned. Once you control the fish, don't let the fish control you when it's in heavy stuff. You know, so you want to get his head turned, get him up, get him across the water, get him in the net, you know. And so, but tournament guys, correct me if I'm wrong. When you're pre-fishing, hooking a fish, you swing him in the boat, right? You're getting a tournament, get the net. Like, get off. You never know how many times that happened to you. You lose more fish in a tournament. You break off on hook sets in a tournament. It's like, I never break off unless it's a tournament. You know, a buddy of mine loses 7.5 pounds smaller right by the boat. I get the net, comes off, he's like freaking out. He said, why are you so calm? I'm like, you're in a tournament, it happens. He's about crying, you know. But it just, you know, if you guys have never tournament fished, I get you guys started fishing a couple of these, you guys go out with these guys, fish a couple of their tournaments. At first, yeah, you feel like I'm giving a donation to these here, take my money. But once you start doing it, it's so fun, it's so addictive. You're like, what's the next one? You know, I mean, I got my kid hooked instantly. You know, he's saving up money. Hey, Dad, for a couple. Oh, I got you, it's all right. You sure? Yeah, it's all right. You know, it's so much fun. Really? Sorry. Canadian guy, he's headed to Texas for a tournament. So, you guys got any more questions at all, or I can stand here all day. We can talk.
You're tossing right into the middle of them reeds.
Yeah, in the thicket. Yeah. Sometimes they're deep in there, especially in the spring. If you got weeds come or like big thick brush coming out, it warms up. So that's like a blanket. They're all there, And some fish won't even come out. You're like, yeah, I see it, but man, I ain't leaving this. It's like you're in your house. You want to go get the paper? Hell no, I ain't getting the paper. I'm staying right here under the blanket. It's like, tell the kids when they come home. But yeah, it's so they're the heavy stuff. Would you?
Use rivals with those tubes.
No. Sometimes if it's muddy water, I do. If it's clear water, I take the rattles off. That's just me. I a lot of guys use rattles. A lot of guys throw a jig. I got a rattle on it. I don't use a rattle mainly because sometimes the fish get used to that rattle. But sometimes the stick baits, like a lot of guys throw the Senko stick baits, and there's times a year where you throw that out there, and fish, oh man, I know that. It's like, I've seen studies, smallmouth will remember 14 days was stung on that bait. Largemouth will remember 12. So that's another reason why those fish are so skittish. We'll fish a circuit like Banks Lake. You guys are familiar with Banks Lake if you're watching. Banks Lake, there's so many freaking tournaments on it. If you have a honey hole on Banks Lake, I guarantee there's 20 guys on that same honey hole, right? And so you might get, I fished tournaments with 200 anglers, right? 200 guys. What are the odds of one of those guys throwing the same thing you're throwing? You know what I'm saying? And once you start sticking fish, then the ABA tournaments before Northwest Bass is here, BSS is here, and they might be boom, 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 week apart, right? And so I fished it to where there's 3 tournaments in front of us, and everyone has the weigh-in at the same spot. So you know what I do? The first thing on the bed, everyone take it off. I'm going to do the first stage where those fish might have swam out to. They're right there, right where they weigh in, and I'll fish that bay in there. And a lot of times I'll catch big fish, and I'll usually throw something small. There's times in Lake Washington I just have a spinning rod. One of those little small baits like I showed you, because a lot of pressure, this fish get real skittish. If you throw a smaller presentation, you're really slow. You gotta have patience. When you're in a tournament, you're like so jazzed, most guys can't fish slow. They're throwing spinner baits, crankbaits, they're going through water. I've been behind guys, I watched them, they just, I'm like, all right, I'll take it down. I'll slow down, I'll see them looking back, But yeah, sometimes you gotta do that. But yeah, it's just how it is, man. Those fish are smart. I've seen a tank where they took a crankbait, one color, and the guy goes, check this out, it's full of bass. They take all this casting tank, you see the hairs and stuff. I've been throwing this bait for 2 weeks. He throws it in there, cranks it down, those fish like, I never had this before. Threw it in there, got this far, the whole tank, they just engulfed it, And that's what happens out there. There's a lot of pressure. One thing's cool about out here where you guys live, there's not a lot of, there's a lot of bass fish, but there's not. To me, there's none, because we have so little population, Like I said, I go to Banks. I hate going to Banks. Man, tournaments on Banks. The first opens on Banks. Like, man, I've been to, like I said, 200 boats. My buddy, he goes, okay, I got a good draw. I got 27, right? So then they go back and draw. The guy who's, sets them out. He goes, no, we're going to draw and see who goes first. What do you mean? He drew, my buddy got it was like 27 was what it was. So he drew 28, starts first. So we had to go all the way around. So it's 27, we were last. I'm like, man. So we're watching and watching. The first run of guys had to come in an hour and a half before us. It took an hour and a half to launch all those boats off. Because you have to be on a plane, you have to have this safe distance. We're just sitting, I'm drinking coffee, right? So, all right, no one knows the spot. We know. We get there, there's like 3 boats there. So we're waiting. We're fishing water, maybe there's a fish on it. So they move, and we move in, And usually the first heat of guys are catching all the fish, So we end up, I think we had 200 boats, we were like 87 or something like that. No money, That's a notion. We gave our donation. But, it's fun fishing, though. You know, we caught some fish, they just weren't used, you know, and it's just those days, you know. I mean, you get, you know, there's a lot of guys, you know, 200 guys. It's all about finding the fish and finding the bite, you know, and that's what it's all about, you know, when you're bass fishing. Because like you see those big ones, you know, like the ones like we saw in that one day, I saw you guys in that day with us. Yeah, those fish were so scary, you know, they'd already been hooked. I talked to Chance, he goes, yeah, we were there last week just killing it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, that's 7 days, in that 12-day window. You know, they all got stung, you know, they're like, man, you know. And so like I said, I should have brought my little baits. When it's like that, and it's when they're sensitive like that, use a small bait, you know, you use fish slow, and you have to fish slow. And you gotta tell yourself, okay, we're starting in the morning, we're gonna put 5 by 3, 5 fish by 3, I'm fishing for 5 bites. You gotta tell yourself, I'm fishing for 5 bites. I'm not out there to catch fish all day. I'm fishing for 5 bites, and you just go slow. Okay, I can wait 2 hours, you go ahead. I'll sit there and just dead stick it with a small bait. Just swim around, so if I finally want to stop, oh, I didn't see that. Pick it up, you know. And that's what you gotta do. I just didn't bring nothing. I'm never gonna do that mistake again. But like I said, I fished that lake before Rodan, and that you guys is a great fishery. I mean, that's one of the best largemouth fisheries I've fished in the Northwest in a while. You know, I do have a small lake where I live, to where you get tired of catching 5-pounders because you're going after the big ones. Friends of mine, you just try that new bait in there. Man, I can throw anything in there and catch it. Because it's private, the property is around, so not many guys go in there. But they're everywhere, you know. You go in the, you know, in the springtime, you'll see like 20 of them, they're all over 6 pounds. You just, ooh, you know, they're all around you. You're like, man, so you start catching them. But then you see that big one, you're going after him, and the 5-pounder goes, get off of there. You know, because they're trying to get that big one. Any other lake man, I'd be like, oh, thank you, Lord, put it in my well. You know. But yeah,
Fish the whole perimeter of Lake Marion?
it's, well, what I did, because I've only fished it once, and we tried the areas where we fished in the fall, but the water was so down, there was dry land. So, well, I guess that's not gonna work. But usually what I'll do, if it's a lake that I have to fish term on and I don't have a chance to pre-fish, I'll sit in my shop where my boat is and I'll pull up my graphs, you know, of that lake. And I'll start looking for like so your points with a deep drop, inside turns with the deep, with we see a lot of steep, you know, banks. A lot of it, sometimes they're going to be on the flats depending on time of year. Shallow flats are good, like springtime when the water's warmer. But that water temp was pretty dang cold. I was in the 40s, wasn't it? Yeah. When you hit about 54 is the magic number. They're all on the flats. You know, they're looking to eat. They're aggressive. They're getting ready to spawn. And so you start fishing the shallow flats. You can catch a lot of fish. When I fish the shallow flats, I'm going to throw a lipless crankbait. I throw the red-eye shad. The reason I throw the red-eye shad, a lot of guys you'll see throwing a rattle trap. Red-eye shad swims really nicely. You can kill it, and it just does this. It stays upright. Any other one will fall down like this. They'll swim down. Smallmouth, especially, they're curious. Like I said, they're a curious fish. And what I'll do is just one of those, it's a vibrating bait. You start swimming it, and what I'll do is I'll stop and I'll jerk it like that. Because a lot of times they're like right behind it. And you don't know that until you get up to the boat and they see you and they take off, you know. So I'll swim it and I'll jerk it and I'll stop, and I'll swim it and I'll jerk it and I'll stop, and usually you'll get one. And these are great for grass. If you got grass growing up, and you can go right through the grass, you'll catch and just jerk it out of the grass, because you're doing that same deal what I'm doing in the open water, and it triggers the bite. And these work really good when it's grassy conditions. It works good in cold water. You know, you get down, you can fish at any depth because it's weighted, it's ½ ounce. So you can count down to get to the bottom. Usually I'll hit the bottom, I'll pull it really fast in case it's grass, and I'll slow roll it, but you can feel that it's just moving, vibrating, twitch a little bit, you know, and it works a lot. A lot of the big guys, big pros, KVD uses these like crazy. You guys know Kevin Van Dam. Greg, sir.
It's a great walleye bait too, and not many people realize that it's an awesome walleye bait.
That steelhead my buddy caught the other day was on one of these. He goes, got a steelhead, you catching the bass. They actually got a sturgeon on it too a couple of years ago, a little sturgeon. Like, you did that? You know. But colors for these, This is a great color, red and orange. I don't know what color the crawdads mulch here. You guys know what color they mulch? They turn red, they turn blue. They're either gonna turn red, they're gonna turn blue, or they're gonna have like a weirdish, orangish, brownish color. I don't know if you guys know. Best way to find out, if you guys know a fish biologist, that's how I found. I have some buddies that are fish biologists, and there's 3 types of crawdad in Washington. Columbia River, they turn blue. A lot of the lakes, they're either going to be blue, brown, or they turn a reddish color. In the south, they say spring craw. But in the south, the springtime is like February, and it's warmer. They already spawned out, and, you know. Washington, which is probably like this, a lot of times in the fall, they turn this color. And I've seen lakes where I'm like, it looks like someone boiled a lobster or something. This is the red. I go to touch it, takes off. Like, oh, they mulch, start dropping red bait, bam, bam. It's you can catch this with this color year round too, but usually in the spring, I'll throw like a chrome with a blue back because you're getting that murkier water, that chrome puts off that flash. And I've done really well. I've got baits with no eyes left, chrome's chipped off. My buddy said, why are you not throwing a new one on? Are you kidding me? This thing looks like he's beat up. Everybody wants to beat him up. You know, he's one of those looks like, man, it's kind of like, I wish my boy Chancey was here. Chancey, everyone knows Chancey, right? And when we came down last summer, he met my friend Trey. And I was like, yeah, Chancey's a tough guy. You want to know why that is? And, you know, kids are going to say what they're going to say. They're a horrible kid. I can guarantee why he's buff. Because when he was a kid, in grade school, the kids like, hey Chancey. He had to do a lot of fighting. You know what I mean? I mean, there's probably some kid, man, could a guy named Chancey whoop my butt? I doubt it. So probably just, yeah, Chancey had a scrap. That's why he's buff. You don't want to mess with Chancey. He probably got something for you, you know what I'm saying? He's probably fast. You have to chase down some of them dudes. But crawling blue, vibrating lures, when it's murky, something puts out a lot of vibration. Jigs. There's also a swim jig. The swim jig works good in the spring, works good in the summer. And it basically looks like one of these jigs, but it has more of a fish head. It's more narrow, so it comes through a lot of the cover. You guys get lakes with lily pads. I'll throw swim jigs and lily pads like no tomorrow. And I'll use like the big swim bait like I showed you. I think I passed them around with the kick and tail, and I'll hook that on it, and you swim through it. It'll come right through the lily pads. Fish hang out in there. I've caught a lot of fishing pads and swim jigs. I've caught them a lot in the spring by logs, laydowns. If you're swimming a swim jig and you're fishing pads, any of you guys use braided line? If you don't want to use braided line, you need to use braided line. Because if you use it, I've had 20-pound fluorocarbon in pads and had the fish come off because they get stuck in the lily pads, and I'm doing this. If you use a braided line, you know, braided line is like a saw. They get those pads, they come right out. It saws right through them. Braided line, there's no give. It's now. It doesn't have any stretch. It's a small diameter. You can cast further. The bait will sink a little better. So there's pros and cons to braided line. If I'm throwing that creature bait on just a regular, you know, like say a Texas rig, you know, with a bullet weight on it, I use a braided line when I'm skipping back in some of those heavy areas. Now the rule of thumb with braid though, if you get abrasion on braid, you better cut your line. So I always feel the line, run my fingers up the line. If there's any abrasion, cut and retie, because braid, you might have 65-pound braid. You get a little nick, now it's like 2 pounds. Just a little nick on braid, you can break it off like that. It's strong, but if you fish a lot of rocks, a lot of areas where it's got to get abrasion, it's not going to work good for it. Pads are good, logs are good, but when you start getting jagged rock, stay away from the braid, unless you're fishing on top. There's a frog. Anybody ever use a floating frog? Floating frogs work great. Braided line. I use 65-pound braid, believe it or not. 65-pound braid on frogs. The reason I use 65 because it's more weighted. You can cast it out there, especially on a windy condition. Some of the braids are so thin you'll get wind knots on the end of your rod, and then you're cussing because you're trying to cut that damn thing off. You know, it's taking you a while. And then also, if you do get a little nick on it, it's a little stronger than the lighter stuff. It floats really good, so the nose of your frog doesn't go down. And it makes the frog, action the frog work the way it's supposed to work. You can twitch the line, the frog will dance for you, and sometimes you'll just sit there just dance in one spot, and it triggers big bites. And so you'll get a top water bite, that fish will engulf it. I know we're talking about cold water, so sometimes I like talking about frog fishing. It's fun, okay? I won't throw it in the spring, but I can't wait to frog fishing. And the slop, the sloughs you're talking about, once the grass comes up, try throwing a frog in. They'll come through it for you. And just kind of throw it, just kind of twitch them back. Just go down the bank, you know, go over the deep water. If it's weeds in deep water, they'll be out there suspended, and they'll come up for a frog. You know, we got a nice selection of frogs inside the book. You see, Kevin Van Dam designed this frog. It works great. It works really great. Okay, back to the cold water stuff. Now, there's a hot bait on the market. I don't know if you guys have heard. It's called the Ned rig. You guys heard the Ned rig? And Z-Man Plastics makes a bait called the TRD, the turd, right? And it's about that big, and it's super soft. It's elastic, and what it is, elastic is very buoyant, so it floats. And what it does is, it's basically a Ned rig is it's a mushroom jig, so one side's flat, and it's kind of like a little regular jig, like a crappie jig or something, but the head of it has a flat side for the bait to touch, and then it's just mushroom. And when you throw it out there, the bait stands up because it's buoyant, that Ned rig bait. Now, the only drawback with that thing is, like I said, it's like that big. Looks like you take one of these, right? There's a Ned rig. That's what it looks like. But it's low buoyant, so this bait's on the bottom like this, right? It's kind of stiff. When the water's cold, it's not going to move as much. And all the guys that finesse fish, oh man, the Ned rig. I catch a lot of big fish on it. Now, we have a soft plastic, which cool thing, Chansey carries it, but we came out with this years ago, and it's made by the same company that does it for us, and they're super buoyant. It's the same style, elastic bait, and what I mean by elastic bait, I mean, you see what I did with that bait there? You see that? This bait right here, you see that? Right? It's elastic, it's buoyant, so it floats. Now, instead of you having that little turd down there, right, I use this. This has way more action than that little turd, right? And so I've got a box in my house. Is there any kids in here? And on the box, I show one of the guys from Strike, he's cracked it up. And on the box, it's labeled, the Ass Saver 1000. This is what I labeled it. And I got some friends now, like the guy who's trying to come from Canada, who'll come in, man, I got a nice big large, you kind of want an ass saver. So that's like the new joke, but these things here, I've caught fish right after tournament guys go through there and can't catch nothing. And I go in right behind them because I know they're there. Not going to have any last, you know what I mean? So, man, they do these. And I should have came down here. But if I would have known, the Bible's going to be like that. And you can use this on a Ned rig. There's also, what's the other one called? Not the Ned rig, there's another one. Same scenario. But it's like big on the market. You have to buy it. You put a pencil weight in it. It does the same thing. You hook it up in here. And it dances across the bottom. But, let's see here. You can get a pencil weight, which it looks like or nail weight, looks like a little nail, and you push in the nose. I took some little split shot weights and I put a little spring from a ballpoint pen on there. Do you guys see that? I don't know if you guys, the spring from a ballpoint pen, I just pinch it on a weight. And so what I'll do is I'll just screw it into one of these things. This elastic, man, this stuff's so rubbery, sometimes it's hard to get these things in there. You get them in there. I just thought about this Chance's new package. Okay, so I kind of did a cruddy job getting them in there, but. Okay, so he's weighted on there now. So it's gonna fall, and it's gonna, because that weight's down here, this bait's gonna stand right on the bottom just like this. And so now, I'll grab my hook, and I'll hook him down here, right? Just like that. Just like that, you guys see that? And so now what the action is, and a lot of times we use on a spinning rod, I'll throw it out there, and so this bait's on the bottom. And when I twitch it starts walking like this. And it just, you just barely twitch it and it walks. I mean, it catches a ton of fish. It's a different presentation. Like I said, you get a lot of pressure on the water where I'm from. You got to think outside the box. What haven't that fish seen? You know, in pressure situations, sometimes this is irresistible, even though I don't know, I'm hungry. You know, I don't know if you guys ever tried this setup. It's like the pro, a lot of pros use it now. And like I said, just something different. It probably came out back in the '60s or something, you know. But they're like, it's new, it's the new thing. You gotta, you know, BMC's making special hooks for them now, and it's just you can use any type of hook, you know, that you feel comfortable. You don't have to use a special hook that they have. You know, you hook it in there, and this will also work on your stick baits. You can go heavier with it with a bait worm, you know. But the finesse style, that's the finesse style. These Elastec worms work excellent for that. I know these guys care. A lot of the dealers that we have now, they're trying some different worms. They don't have this one. I'm like, dude, you gotta get that worm. But then where I live, you don't want that worm. That work. I told you, hey, what are you using, man? I'm using this here. You know, a fly? That's what I use. You know, there's a lot of competitive guys around us, man. They like to know what I'm using, you know. They'll ask my kids, what's your dad throwing? I'm over there. We used to take, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this, especially if we have a good day of fishing, take all those lures off. I'll find some crazy stuff. Man, I'll put some big swim baits on there, some bite baits. You come in, because everyone kind of running over, look at your boat, right? Hey, you catching them on that? Oh, man, you just don't know. You know? We used to always just did. We always had it's funny because we always used to have a bag of Berkeley worms, black with a chartreuse tail. That was the biggest joke among all the bass fishermen in Washington. Everyone throw that in when they come on. They come into the shoreline, they have that on. Because, you know, back then, you know, the guys come up to the tournaments are usually what we call meat fishermen. And those guys are out to harvest. Says, we don't want meat fishermen, though. We got them there, so we'll just throw something hokey on them. Yeah, that's what I got them on. That's a nice bag of fish you got there. They're all taking notes. You know, I have another buddy that he makes his own scent. And he doesn't want the other anglers to know, so he always hauls out a Crest toothpaste tube and puts a scent in there. And then he puts it on his baits. And he was out fishing one day. He was just out catching yellow perch. And this guy's like, I know you're catching a lot of fish, but you're putting something on your bait. What is it? He goes, I just got this stuff right here. You know, this guy's a pastor in church, right? I'm like, pastor? He goes, I just said this is just what I got right here. The guy goes, good. He takes off. That's what that dude is putting Crest toothpaste on all his baits. You know, and it's just hilarious. I mean, do you guys put scent on your baits when you fish?
Not really.
You don't? Really? Okay. I get guys ask me all the time, why is she out fishing? I don't know if you ever heard that. My wife kills it. We're using the same thing. Have you guys ever heard that scenario? Are you in that same scenario? Do you guys want to know the real reason why your wife is out fishing you? And this is no joke. As men, your palms sweat, right? We secrete an amino acid in our sweat that comes out of our palms, and it throws the fish off like no tomorrow. Like that fish was screaming, that's what they do. Always put scent on. I mean, that's my secret to you. I put it on like lotion before any tournament. I won't touch anything on my boat. And how I started learning about scent was probably 15 years ago, fishing with a buddy of mine. And we're throwing grubs on Lake Whatcom in Bellingham, Washington. And we're fishing this flat springtime. He's one after another. And they're big, small men. I'm like, every once in a while I'll get one. And they kept taking some out of his pocket and doing this and putting it back in his pocket. Like, what do you got in your pocket? Well, I got this little bottle right here. I'm like, what is that? Let me smell it. Ooh, what is it? He goes, yeah, you got to put that on your bait. Really? I put some on that first cast, 6.5 pound smallmouth. I'm like, you know what? I'm sold, brother. And then I started finding out later about the amino thing. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because I hear a lot of guys, you know, she outfishes me, you know. Yeah, and she puts her own bait on there and everything. It's like, that's a good thing because she's not getting your ugly, nasty scent on there. You know? But if you've never used scent, it'll change your game. I mean, you gotta use scent. I mean, that's just, like I said, my word to you. This right here is garlic and real night crawlers. You can put this on ribs, brother. But I can pass it around, you can smell it. And it's real night crawlers. It's made by Procure. They got some Procure here. And everything that's on the package is real stuff inside the set. I used to use Smelly Jelly back in the day, and nothing against Smelly Jelly. It's a great group of guys. Mike, the owner, is an awesome dude. They make a synthetic, which is probably the best synthetic on the market. But then I got a free bottle of real stuff, and then outfished it. And I met Steve Lynch, the guy who makes this stuff, and he told me what it is. This is real crawdad. This is real nightcrawler. They have one out there called garlic bloody tuna. You're like, what the frick is that? What the hell is bloody tuna? So I asked Steve, man, what the hell is bloody tuna? And he said, bloody tuna is the dark meat of the tuna. And that's what that is. So the Procure bloody tuna is the dark meat, or you get garlic bloody tuna, which has garlic and the dark meat of the tuna. On the coast of salmon guys, they're fishing these. They'll put real tuna fish in their baits and put a garlic oil, but he just makes a bait. It makes a scent that takes care of all that. And that stuff is sticky. It stays on the bait. I smelled my bait after about an hour, and it still smells like that garlic night crawler. You know what I mean? But if you guys never try, I'm gonna challenge you now. Yeah, I'll here. just for giggles. Put that on your bait when you guys go fishing. And you'll be coming to a chance again.
Any bait?
What's that?
Any bait?
Yeah. There's different scent. I don't know if there's any, like, what is it? The lake trout. Don't they eat smelt? Did you guys lake trout fish? There you go. You lake trout fish? That's smelt. Smell it. It smells just like it. It's real smelt. It's minced. It's gelled. It's sticky. Is that not smelt? You smell that?
Just a little bit, goes a long way.
Yeah. My kid, Dad put it on my bait. I'm not touching it. Did you guys get a smell of that stuff? Did you smell this stuff? You smell that garlic in there too?
Yes.
Mmm. You know, I was at North 40 and I was showing a buddy of mine, I had some I brought in, and it was that garlic bloody tuna. I said, you guys got to bring this stuff in, it's good for salmon and kokanee and everything else. And he's like, let me smell it. So I smelled it. Man, this old guy's in there goes, what do you got there? Let me smell that. And he's like, oh, good Lord, that smells like my wife's breath. I'm like, really? We just sat there looking at, man. I said, hope her breath doesn't smell that bad. It's like, wow. But it was just hilarious. His wife walked around the corner, he got quiet. Hey, honey, oh, you ready to go? He's waiting for us to say something. You know, it's like, you know what he said? You know? But yeah, so, I mean, I got a couple bottles. I got some smell. I mean, I can give you guys a bottle of stuff. You guys together?
Thank you. Great.
It's probably dig it. And this is, like I said, this is smelt, but it's still a bait fish. It's still a different scent than your own, so it'll work. There you go.
You take this and put a little bit on your fingers and rub it on the bait.
Yep. Rub it in your hands, man.
Rub it in your hand.
I like to call it the sticky icky, you know what I mean? But it works really good. And I put it on everything. And I've got different flavors. I've got leech, I've got crawdad, I've got garlic crawdad, I've got anise crawdad, I've got anise leech, I've got anise nightcrawler. It's just a little change up, you know? I mean, because there are tournament fishermen that use this stuff, you know? And so I try to get something that's different, you know? And something that I'm used to, but garlic for some reason, and it's not natural in the water. I have a buddy of mine who's worked for an aquarium company, and they sell this liquid garlic. I'm like, really? He goes, aquarium fish, he goes, as well as any fish, say your fish aren't eating. He goes, I just put 2 drops of that in a fish tank, starts a feeding frenzy. I'm like, really? I go, now I know why people put garlic on baits, you know. There's something about it, and I don't know what it is. I'm like, what the heck fish think that is? You know, Italian? Garlic or something? But it works really good. So if you've never put scent on a bait, put scent on a bait, and trust me, you know.
My fishing partner's a smoker too, and very seldom outfishes. But the smoke smell, tobacco.
And I know
does
there's
not do
a,
it.
I know some guys, my neighbor, my buddy, who's cigarette in his mouth, he catches fish because he knows, I taught him years ago. He was, how come I can't catch the bass? I go, dude, really? It's like, but he uses scent. I know a couple guys fish Northwest, these 2 old guys, and they're, I would say they're 68, and they fish this old red skeeter boat. They're at all the tournaments, they show up, they have a little camper they bring around, and they go and they have these big Bubba cans, you know, full of coffee, cigarettes. They put their scent on everything, and all they do is sit there and drag lizards all day. They got to control the motor on slow, pumping cigarettes, drinking coffee, you know, and that's all they do all day long with the Carolina rig, you know. And I've seen them place up to like 5th place before, dragging that, you know, that lizard around. And I don't know if you guys ever fished lizard, but they were big back in the day on a Carolina rig. Now, it's getting to where now a lot of guys don't do that anymore. But I tell you what, I still throw a lizard, you know. And there's times where a lizard is fishing really good. Creature baits work really good, and that's the Carolina rig. Also, if you're new, it's just like I was telling you before, like the power bait rig. It's just like that. And how you fish these, I didn't really get into that. And you can put almost any soft plastic on here. Now, there is one thing to know also, and the leader length on a Carolina rig depends on the water clarity and if you have grass or rock or mud on the bottom. And if you have low water clarity, if it's kind of muddy, you want a shorter leader. I usually go, if it's kind of muddy, I might only go a foot away to 8 inches. Because the attractant is this, right? But if they can't see the bait behind it, they're not gonna hit it. And so if it's muddy or cloudy or stained, I'm gonna go shorter leader. Now if it's really clear, and I might do like, I always use fluorocarbon on my main line, 14, 15 pound test. I've gone higher, but and I've gone lower depending on how deep. If I'm fishing smallmouth and I'm fishing, you know, 39, 40 feet of water, I might go down to a 10 pound main line or 12 pound just so I can sink faster with it. And I'm usually either going to use a 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce weight, depending on how much wind's on the water. Because what you want that to keep contact on the bottom. And you can always tell what's on the bottom, whether it's rock or silt or gravel or whatever, because that way, if it's rock, you hit it, and that's what you want, because bass relate to cover. And the big reason for rock is crawdad hide rocks. And so they know where the food's at. And you can take a fish tank and put some little bass in it and have a clear bottom, right? I could put a little gravel spot this big, those fish will right up the gravel. You know, I can put like a little piece of wood over here, they're right over, so they're structure related fish. And what you want to find is like, well, you might have a whole shoreline that's just gravel or it's got little rock. But the fish, you find little appendages or bigger rocks. You'll find a rock this big, there might be 3 fish on it in that whole rocky bank. So you look for different changes. If you got say you got a stump field, you know, you got about 20 stumps here, you might have 1 stump out here by itself. I'll fish that one, you know, or like say cattails, you have a bunch of cattails, you might have 2 that sit out a little further than the other ones. I'll fish that one with 2. For some reason, you know, they're like, oh, I'm gonna be out here, I'll be different, you know, and I don't know why it's like that. So back to your leader. So muddy water, stained water, shorter leader. Okay, and I might use a 10 pound or 12 pound leader. A lot of times I'll use an 8 pound. If the water's ultra clear and the fish are finicky, I might drop down to a 4 pound fluorocarbon leader that they can't see. Majority of the time, 8 or 6. And that leader's gotta be that long, 28, 30 inches long, I'll put out there. I've had times where I had to go 6 feet because they're so finicky, like on Lake Washington, some of the areas, water's so clear, they're shallow water, you can see them. I go 6 feet and drag it. You know, they hear it, but you know, they'll get shy of this when they get come up to it. But to be safe, if you're a new guy fishing, you know, go 18 inches, try that. You know, that's a happy medium, it always works. My kid, you know, I can't cast that long, he goes like this, 18-inch one, it always works. Like I said, unless you're in extreme conditions, like it's super clear, then I'm like, dude, you can't, that ain't gonna work. You know, super clear, longer leader, smaller baits. You know, more stained. If once they're aggressive, say once the water hits 54, then I'm gonna go with a bigger bait. I might even drag. I can show you guys what I'm getting. This is new on the market, and I'm surprised Chance even has some. It's a menace grub, but this is called the baby menace. And when they came on the market, there was one of the pros fished a tournament where they'll do some of these pros, and I know a guy that does them, to where you can only bring your rods and tournament tackle, right? And you go to the tournament, okay, here's a bag. This is all you can use. What? You know, all you can use. And they're fun tournaments because it makes you fish with that product they give you. And I know a guy that he got some of these. They were like a demo from Strike King, and they were these menace grubs. And they're like a regular curly tail grub, but yet they have that rage, like craw end on it. And so you pull it apart, and this little thing swims like no tomorrow. And you can throw this on a regular jig head, and yeah, it just spinnerbait as a trailer. I don't know if you guys ever tried one of these yet. Put on a trailer spinnerbait. I throw these in the spring for spinnerbaits on a more of a green pumpkin spinnerbait or a bluegill colored with one of these on the back because it just kicks in the back. The smaller one like this at Carolina rig, man, this thing catches fish. A good happy medium, largemouth, smallmouth. If you're fishing Carolina rig, this little menace grub, put that on there and drag that little guy because he's just kicking on the bottom. You know, if you have grass on the bottom, use a monofilament leader, 8-10 pound monofilament leader, because mono floats to get them off the bottom when you're dragging it. If you use a fluorocarbon, it's going to sink. So fluorocarbon is going to run that bait on the bottom. If it's grassy on the bottom, he's going to be in the grass. It's going to be hard for the fish to find him. If you got really long grass and you want to drag through it with a Carolina rig, use a tube. And I'll tell you the secret with a tube. If you go buy you some earplugs and squish them and stuff them in the front of that tube, and then hook that tube up, it'll whoosh. And so you drag through. I've caught them on tubes in grass like this high, where I'm dragging the bottom, and it floats that tube above the grass and swim up there above the grass. It works really good. I think it works really good. Like I said, they always look up, right? Because the bass will be down in the grass. Unless you hit him on the head, he won't know where that's at. But if he's down there, he'll still see that thing going across the top. He'll come on and hit it. Don't write that down. But yeah, if you guys haven't tried these work excellent. And this is a green pumpkin. And like I said, green pumpkin, if you guys use green pumpkin in plastic, you'll be safe. It's only certain conditions where I might change up, you know, with a different color. If you do like I say, a watermelon red flake, a lot of crawdads have a little red in them. It's a good try. Bluegill, for some reason, if I'm imitating a bluegill, I might go watermelon red flake, or I might just go watermelon. I don't know why watermelon works, but they seem to hit it when they're eating bluegill, you know. Unless they think it's a bluegill abomination, kill it, you know. But these work really good. If you guys never tried them, they work really good. They work good as jig trailers. It's just, like I said, a little something different. It's got great action, and it's getting all kinds of reviews now. And they've been asking, they finally came out with the smaller, because a lot of guys up north fishing smallmouth and fishing deep water or clear water. Because, you know, I had a buddy of mine that lives on Kentucky Lake. There are a lot of big tournaments on there. What's the water Clary to Kentucky Lake. Oh, it's gin clear. It's good clear water. I go, well, how far down can you see? Oh, about 3 or 4 feet. Oh, are you kidding me? That's muddy water. But you get out south and it's dirty. I mean, it's all, I mean, those guys are right over the fish. Fish can't see them. They're like gin clear. I say, that's not clear water. But I do like fishing water like that because you can get right along, you know. Early morning, if I'm fishing a tournament, sun's coming up. Like I say, I throw a lot of jigs, and I make a lot of money on jigs. I'll throw black and blue in the mornings. Once the sun comes up, I might change and match the bottom or what the crawdad are. I might go with like this is a crawdad pattern. Or I use what, like I said, green pumpkin. That's green pumpkin there on a jig. So he's got that green little brown. And this is like a heavy, this is a 3/4 ounce. Notice I got that mince grub on there? That's money, dude. You know, that bought a lot of Legos last year. A lot of Legos. You know, it's, my little guy, like he's, like I said, he started fishing, basically started fishing tournaments a year ago. And it took me 2 weeks to get him comfortable with a bait caster because he's always using little push buttons. He's 12 years old. And by August, he was skipping a jig under docks. You know, and my 8-year-old, when he was young, and I remember when he was 6 years old, he caught a 6-pound largie. You know, and it was funny because I'm like, man, I get a bite. I'm like, man, I had a bite over there. And he's like, he throws his line over there. Next thing you know, boom, this fish comes out of the water. He's got the little push button, you know. He had a good rod. At that time, they had a Shimano rod for him and a little rhino reel. And this fish is coming, right? And I saw in bass, what they'll do is they try to jump. When they jump, a lot of times they'll shake their head and your bait comes out. And what you want to do is you want to put his head back down. You can usually tell if your line starts slacking, you see him come up, you put that tip in the water and you crank him hard and pull his head back down. And I'm sitting there, my kid's like fighting this fish, and he goes, and pull it down, I'm like, oh! You know, I'm like on my knees, oh, you know, it was so cool, man. And I pulled this fish, all these people were like, oh, you know, on the bank cheering, you know, but it was pretty awesome. But if you guys want to see this setup here, this is, it's a heavy jig, it's a 3/4 ounce. I'll use that in deep water, smallmouth or largemouth, because they'll go deep too. I've caught largemouth in 30 feet of water. They do go deep. Usually the springtime, if you guys are new at it, you'll catch good sized fish. But once they spawn, you'll be like, where'd they all go? You know, and I see a lot of guys that pound the bank, pound the bank, pound the bank, pound the bank. I call those bubble fishermen. And they spawn shallow, but once they're done, first they'll go off the first drops. And then then like say summertime, I know guys don't even fish in the summer. I can't catch a big one. Well, they're not around the shoreline, you know? And so when it gets really hot in that shallow water, you know, if there's no shade, there's low oxygen in there. They don't like it. They want to be a little cooler. They don't want to go down deeper. They want to follow bigger bait fish because they're hungry now. You know, I'm going to eat. What are the little things for, you know? And so then you start having to find them on structure. I fish largemouth at 30 feet of water, big ones. Caught them on stump fields down deep, Lake Washington. And a lot of people don't think to go deep for largemouth, but they're out there. I don't know if you guys ever watch the guys on TV. You got these guys called ledge fishermen, you know. And what that is the deep drops, and they're fishing big worms and stuff like that. And they do the same thing around the country, you know. I haven't fished much over here, but where I live in the summertime, I don't go deep. I don't go shallower than 15 feet when I start out, you know, looking for fish, because I know they're going to be deeper. And I've even found largemouth suspended off drops that go down to 80 feet, and they're suspended down 25 feet off of that ledge. That is the hardest fish to catch. And the best solution for one of those is the old stick bait. You know, with no weight, you throw it out there like my buddy does. You know, because you're going to drop through that water column where they're at through the strike zone slowly. You know, you can try a crankbait to get down there. Sometimes you can get to them with a crankbait, but that bait there, it'll drop right through them, and you'll pick up those fish. You'll see it coming down. You know, the only other thing that you can get them come up is a topwater bait or a jerk bait. So that jerk bait I showed you, it said they always look up, or if you run it on top, they'll come up for that. But those are the three baits. That one works killer though, that little stick bait. If you have patience, you know, I'd rather throw a jerk bait or something, you know, but man, I'd sit there, okay, count the time down. And but yeah, I mean, there's lakes, and I've caught smallmouth in 50 feet of water in July. And we found some on banks, found some structure. Like, oh, look at all those fish down there. So we're missing them. So I put a little drop shot on. I get a bite, and I reel it up, and it was a smallmouth that big. I'm like, what the heck are you down there? You're like, bait! 50 feet down, smallmouth that big. You know? And so they move, they go down those areas. They go where they follow the food. You know, there's something they were eating down there. It was a big rock pile, and they were all hanging on the rock. They probably don't go far, because if they do, they're going to get eaten up by something else. You know, Dorshak in Idaho last year, in October, they had their kokanee traps on. You guys heard this, but they were 74 feet down the kokanee trap. They were studying the kokanee. They got 11 plus smallmouth in there. New world record. Now, they just weighed it and recorded it and released it. So, you know, they didn't catch it with a rod, but it was 11 plus smallmouth. 74 feet down. Below the thermocline, where they say bass don't go. But smallmouth will go down there because a kokanee is the richest, good eating food for them. I mean, crawdad are rich, but it doesn't have the protein like a kokanee. So if you got lakes with kokanee, you have bass in it, whether it's largemouth or smallmouth, they're going to be big producers. You know, and then your fish and wildlife departments, we're going to go stock the lake where I live. We got 80,000 fingerling kokanee. Well, I'm not fishing that lake for at least a month. You know, they're just a smorgasbord. And you can see the fish, you know, are on the surface, and then come morning or evening, you see the big swirls, you know, where those bass are just feeding up, you know. Rainbow trout too. California is known for big largemouth now, and not Florida, because what happened is they have a Florida string bass that they brought in, introduced to California. Now they're eating rainbow trout instead of shad. So rainbow trout has way more protein than a shad, so that's why they're growing so big. You know, they're eating cake and ice cream versus eating top ramen. You know, and so they're getting fat and big quickly. And that goes the same with like your big lake trout. You guys have kamloops trout here, rainbows. And so those big giant kamloops, they're feeding on those kokanee too. The fish are just opportunities. I get these bodies, oh, trout, they're bug eaters, really? You know, or they'll tell me that kokanee only eat the little, was it that little shrimp or the krill or whatever? I'm like, so why am I catching, you want me to show you what I catch more kokanee on than I end up changing up? This bait right here caught more kokanee while I'm fishing for bass than any other bait I ever used. And I'm like, I never caught a kokanee until I started throwing this. You guys see this bait right here? So I go, if they don't eat fish or anything, why are they hitting this? Oh, it's just red. Oh, so they eat crawdad. Well, no. I go, the crawdad turned red. You don't think they're hitting this? you know what I mean? They're going to eat the fish are opportunists. They're like, well, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to eat a little piece of krill. You know, but I'm really hungry, but I'm going to pass that up. They got to think that crawdad. Man, that's a big piece of krill. You know, I'll feed on that, be full for a week. But yeah, this bait, what it is, it's a crawdad imitator, because some lakes the crawdad will mulch that color. You know, it's got an orange belly, red on the back. It's a great bait. If you have crawdad that mulch that color, this catches them. And then I also found, like in the fall, is when we mulch, but I can still catch them in the spring on this, because the fish knows what a crawdad looks like when it mulches. They're like, man, you stupid, you mulched already, I'll eat them. You know, and so that works really good. You guys got any more questions at all? Like I said, I can stand here all day. The first one I did for Chancey one time, he goes, "Can you make it 45 minutes?" I'm like, "That's kind of a while, isn't it?" Then after all, he's like, "Dude, you're like 2 hours into it, brother." I'm like, man. I didn't even look at the clock. Oh, it's 11:30. Hour and a half. Not too bad, right? You guys aren't getting tired of me, right? Doing a lot of it, right? So, everyone remembers the stick style bait? If you don't have any of these, get some of these. You got them here. You got the 10% off. That's a great bait. I actually bought a pack of these right here when I came here that day, and then me and my kid fished that tournament over on the coast where I live, or North Central Washington. This is when I was skipping on those trees where we caught all those fish. It was right here. And yeah, it was a good day. It's always a good day with fish, right? It'd be raining, storm, whatever. But yeah, I mean, unless you guys got any more questions, you know. Yeah, I'll be back in April. We're gonna fish. I think we might do another seminar the night before. And if I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm gonna fish that day, I'd be lying to you, brother, because I ain't telling you, right? But I'll tell you afterwards. I am good about that. You know, I fished clubs on the coast tournaments. So what you guys catch those fish on last month? Wouldn't you like to know? You know. So I got hit for those guys. My older boy, I fished the lake in Penticton in November, second week in November. And the guy that put it on, he's a guide on the lake, same guy that fished the other tournament. And so all the Canadian guys, they like think he's like the bass guru, you know, and he's a good fisherman, don't get me wrong, he's a really good fisherman. But we started learning his waters, we started coming there fishing some place where he fished. So we went up in November, and when I talked about electronics, these guys have electronics in their boat, none of them know how to use them. They know how to, okay, the bottom's 20 feet down, the bottom's this, you know, they don't know how to find fish. Fish were at 49 feet, and we're fishing in between. There was a boat in front of us, a boat behind us. It's just all this riprap down the railroad tracks, big rocks and everything like that. So I'm looking. What the heck is that? We're looking bottom, so I zoomed in on it. There's daylight under those rocks. I'm like, those are fish sitting on the bottom. So I tell my kid, we just drop straight down, whack. I mean, we caught about 15 or 20 of them. We put, you know, a couple in the live well, moved on. Looked like a pile of rocks down there again. Zoomed in on. There's daylight under every rock. And it was like whack, 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 whack. You know, there's 15 or 16 fish, but they're all this big. Let's move down. The guys behind us saw us carry. They come running, right? And they're like our boat. My boat's here. Literally, my boat's like there's the riprap wall. I'm out to that wall. They come about right here, start throwing in the shoreline like this. And I'm like, what are these guys fishing? When I come up and I look, there's nothing up there. So I go back out. So we get out to the end, and then the point comes out, so we're following that 49 feet. So we're like way up there now. And so the guy putting on the tournament, the guide, comes flying in there with his boat. I told Greg about the story last night, and I'm like, oh man, I got a bite. You know, and he's like on top of the fish, right? I'm like, going like this on that line out, and like, I won't say hook, you know, I'm sitting there, and this fish is he's fighting for like 5 minutes. He's throwing. Finally gets mad and takes off. And he's sitting, I was like, if he only looked at his graph, he would have saw a fish right underneath his boat. They were all stacked under his boat. I got back so I can cast to him. Because I was trying to vertical jig for him. Like, we cast to him, you know, and it was hilarious. So we come back in to weigh in. We've got our 5 fish limit. It's best weight out of 5. We're sitting at 23 pounds. These guys are zeros, 1 fish. That guy there had 3 fish, and he was sitting at 3 pounds and 8 ounces, right? And so, hey guys, this is what we got. And so, I'm like, well, we got one good. Let's pull out a 512 smallmouth. And he's like, holy crap, what lake did you get that out of? I'm like, really, man? You know? And then his partner's like, so where'd you catch him? And I go, right down there. And screw you, point. You know? And so anyway, he posted, and he goes, first place, 512. Second place, 3.8. I'm like, dude, you only posted our 1 fish. Why not? He goes, because we have to post it. I'm just like, really? You know, we're like 23 pounds, you know? But he didn't want to make it look so bad because the month before that, we won with 1 fish again. They come in with 6 pounds, 4 ounces. One of our fish was a 6.5 smallmouth. We had a 5.15 and 2 over 4 pounds, you know? So he puts it on there. First place, 6.5. Second place, 6.4. Well, that was your 4 fish, you know? But it's hilarious. And so my wife's like, they're going to kick you guys out of Canada. You guys are, you know. And the end of the last one, he's like, well, next year we're going to have points towards Bassmaster points to where if the guys that went out get to go and fish Knox in Montana to fix the qualifier. So my kid, oh, we're going to Montana next year, Dad? I'm like, you shut up. But it was like, yeah, I'll look over at it. One of the guys, basically, yeah, you're going, you know. But it was hilarious. So. But anyway, if there's not anything else, you know, we can go inside and bite, because I might pick up a couple things too.
Thank you.
And it's always a pleasure to come out here. I have a great time. You guys are good out here.